Innovation is the only sustainable form of differentiations. Hi, welcome to this episode of NTT-Com DD's Innovation News Update. My name is Pang Ming Hiat. In this episode, I'm going to show you another API integrations. In this case, it involves Tufin and Infoblox integrations. In overview, this integration uses Infoblox outbound API notifications based on event-driven. So when a relevant configure event is triggered, it will invoke the outbound API calls to Tufin and execute its automations workflow. Infoblox is the single source of truth for IP address management in the networks. Today, we will cover the use case of network syncs between Infoblox and Tufin. In this use case, Infoblox automates the task of create, update, or remove networks and subnets to or from Tufin zones. With the updated networks into Tufin zones, Tufin USB could identify the violated policy with notifications and alerts. Let's get into the use case of network syncs to Tufin. Whenever Infoblox creates, updates, or removes networks and subnets, it will trigger an outbound API notification to Tufin circuit track for the network changes to map with Tufin zones. The benefit is this reduces the manual processes of updating the network changes and keep Tufin zone always up to date. This allows Tufin USB to more accurately identify the violated policy in the networks. Here is the workflow. Step 1. Create, updates, or remove networks and subnet on Infoblox. Step 2. Infoblox triggers an outbound API notification to Tufin for network changes. Step 3. Tufin secure track updates the network changes to Tufin zone. Step 4. Tufin USB identify the policy that violates the security compliance. Now, let's go for the demo. Let's briefly walk through the configuration of outbound API notification on Infoblox. Here is the outbound endpoint that is configured for Tufin with the login URL and credential. Created and uploaded a template of REST API named Tufin Networks. An API notification named Tufin Network IPv4 is created. This is the configure event and rule. If there is any network IPv4 changes in the default network view, it will use the Tufin Networks template and make API calls to Tufin to update the networks. Now, let's move to IPAN tab. Create a new IPv4 network. Define a network 10.10.10.0 with subnet /24. In the extensible attribute, ensure that Tufin_sync is set to true and Tufin_zone is set to a desired zone on Tufin. In our case, Infoblox_networks zones is defined. Before proceeding to save the new network, go to Tufin secure track to verify the newly created Infoblox_network zones. The current Infoblox_network zones does not have any networks. Go back to Infoblox to save the changes. This is the newly created network. Go to Tufin secure track to verify the new network has been synced to Tufin. Go back to Infoblox to add a command for the newly created network. The change of command will be synced to Tufin descriptions. Now, go ahead to delete the newly created network on Infoblox. The changes will be synced to Tufin and the network 10.10.10.0 has been deleted accordingly. That concludes this demo. Next use case, network sync from Tufin to InfoBlocks. InfoBlocks will run a scheduled outbound API notification to Tufin secure track to retrieve the network changes from Tufin zones. If there is any new networks created on Tufin zones, then InfoBlocks will update its IPAM networks accordingly. Here is the workflow. Step 1. InfoBlocks runs scheduled outbound API notification to Tufin secure track to retrieve the networks created in Tufin zones. Step 2. InfoBlocks creates networks and subnets for the new networks that have been created in Tufin zones. Now, let's go for the demo. Let's briefly walk through the configuration of the outbound API notifications on InfoBlocks. We have created a notification named Tufin Network Syncs. Select Tufin as the target endpoint. Select Tufin Network Syncs templates. In the events of new networks that have been created on Tufin, it will be synced to default network view on InfoBlocks. The event notification runs based on schedule basis, and these are the options available. In this demo, we use once. Select the start date and define a start time to start few minutes later from now. Now, let's move to IPAM tab. These are the current networks and subnets. Go to Tufin Secure Track. Create a new network 10.10.10.0 with subnet prefix 24 on the InfoBlocks_networks zones. Go back to InfoBlocks. After a few minutes later, we could see the new network has been synced to InfoBlocks. Alright, that's all I would like to show in this episode. Thank you very much.